Kim, it is so good to be able to sit down and talk to you about your career in the theater. And the thing I want to start with is, sometimes when I'm watching a movie or watching a play, and we'll get together with the group, and then people will say, they'll ask, who's their favorite actor, who's their favorite actress. And when they ask me who my favorite actress is, I always say Kim Weston Moran. And people are like, well, who is that? Who is that? And it really, what it pinpoints to me is that people look at the craft and the work that people put into the work, into acting, is that they create this celebrity thing around it. But there are so many other people who do this craft very, very well. And I think that you're one of them, and I'm going to tell you why. I've seen you in so many dramatic performances, and you just would captivate the audience. But you invited me to one piece of work that you did, and this is where I want to start. And you invited me to a performance with a group called Out of Control.
Oh, my comedy group.
And this is where I want to start, because it was at that moment when I sat in that audience, the first time I saw you in that piece of work, as Kim is my favorite actor at this point, because you really showed your range. And I want you to talk to me a little bit about that process, how you first got involved with Out of Control, and how you prepared for the performances when you first got involved.
Okay, well, first, if I can remember, a couple of people were in this group called AWOL with this guy. I can't even remember his name.
Right.
And then Linda Humes, who was a long-time friend of mine, from the time when I worked with Miss Jeanette, who was one of my mentors, and a lot of regular people may not know, but people who've been in theater a long time in New York knew Miss Jeanette. She just died, I think, a year or two ago at 101 or 102. Wow. And she was a phenomenal woman. But anyway, I was working as a theater artist with her, and Linda and I met, we met doing a play called Small Fish, Big Dreamer that Miss Jeanette had directed.
Right.
And I played this Caribbean girl. And I don't know, was it that play? I forget which play it was in. But I met Linda then, and we became really close. And so a few years later, we decided to start the group. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. It was more like 10 years later.
Yeah.
We decided to start the comedy group, and we wanted to do it was satirical, and it had a political edge.
It sure did.
And we had it was a multiracial company.
Yeah.
So we had white, Jewish, black, Latin. We had a Hawaiian guy. So we had about close to 10 actors and maybe 15 writers.
Right.
And so that's when we started doing Out of Control. And Out of Control, I started writing sketches. I was directing and acting in the sketches and producing. And we went on for about 2 years.
You sure did.
And then I started at Perks Restaurant.
Right.
And I used to have the group up there. They were like an in-house, and we would do sketches there. And I was there for about a year or so.
Right.
And it was called Eclectic Tuesday Nights or something like that.
Yeah.
And every Tuesday night we would be at Perks Restaurant, and Mrs. Perkins and I got very close. And but then the group fell apart.
Yeah.
But that was really a great experience for me, and I have pictures I have piles of pictures from that,
and I do too. But the reason why I wanted to start there with you, Kim, is because it really showed your range. Because Out of Control, I guess, to try to give it a little better context, it was sort of like a Second City in Chicago.
Yeah, it was political sketch.
It was like a
satirical sketch. We did sketches.
Comedy.
Yeah.
Not too much unlike Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Things like that.
Exactly.
And you guys were a little ahead of your time with that. And I just want to get you to talk about how you prepared for that level of artistic expression. How did you prepare for that?
Well, I mean, I have a BFA in theater, and I studied with, it tells you, ages me, but I was the first graduating class from the Aaron Davis Center for the Performing Arts up at City College.
Right.
And we had phenomenal professional teachers. We had Francis Foster from Negro Ensemble. God, I can't even think. Alan Miller. God, there was one other guy that he used to fill the girls up. I had to turn them in. You know, we would be doing this since I was a big fat guy, and he was very famous, and I cannot think of his name.
I'm glad you don't.
I don't care. You know that.
But I want you to continue about that whole process.
As a trained actor, you are prepared. You don't you do the same preparation for every character. I mean, of course, every character is different.
Right.
But you do the homework on each character. You know, the who, where, what, why, and then I used to pick colors for my characters.
Right.
And so I didn't think about it. You know, it was like this was an opportunity. And I get to play all these different characters, plus I wrote some of this. I got a chance to write some sketches and direct them. So as far as preparing, it was just that I was a trained actor under some great teachers.
Yeah.
I had Israel Hicks, a lot of people while I was at City College. And so when the opportunity came, it was just, I'm a character actress.
Right.
In this business you lead, character, or whatever, but I know I'm lead also because I played quite a few leads in plays, but I'm a character actress.
Right.
Like I go into the character. I like dialects, all of that. So doing the out of control is what I really like to do.
Yeah, and you were amazing in that. But I want to take you back growing up. And I had mentioned artistic expression, and I want you to kind of tell me about the first time you felt like you had that ability to express yourself that way. When did that begin?
I don't know. My mother tells me, she told me, Mom passed in March, but she told me growing up, I was one of the most curious kids. And no matter where we'd be on the bus, I asked 50 questions. What's that? What's that? Blah, blah, blah. I always wanted to know how stuff worked.
Right.
And I always used to entertain her, perform for her without even knowing if I really wanted to be an actor. But I loved from a very young age. And everybody else would be sleeping. I'd be up all night watching musicals, all those white musicals and all that kind of stuff. And I loved mysteries, all that. I used to watch all of that. And then I would act, in the mirror and stuff like little kids do. Yeah. But then when I was 9 years old, my dad took us, I don't think it was my sister, I think it was just my brother and I. Yeah. And we went up to the American Shakespeare Festival up in Connecticut, which I did a little research prior, and it stopped in the 80s. But yeah. I was about 9 years old. And we had the phenomenal opportunity to see Waiting for Godot. And I just wrote this man's name down so that I can remember. Louis Gossett.
Right,
Louis Gossett was in it with this white guy. And don't ask me, at 9 years old, Waiting for Godot is a very complex type of piece. Exactly. But it grabbed me. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I loved it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But what was it about that particular piece of work that captured you? Was it the acting? Was it the scenery? What was exactly?
It was the acting and it was the storyline. Yeah. Waiting for Godot is like waiting for God, really. Right. And there's these two guys. I mean, later on, I guess I understood more when I read it. It's something I'd like to do, maybe two women one day. That would be great. Yeah. But I can't exactly tell you what bites you when you get enamored by the arts. Because I remember just before I went to, or about the time I went to performing arts, I went to see Debbie Allen in the musical Raisin. Yeah. And I was blown away again. And don't you know, years later, I did Raisin in the Sun with Felicia Rashad and Charles Weldon, directed by Charnel Perry. And Debbie came to see me. It wasn't musical when we did it.
Yeah, yeah.
But she gave me, I mean, the confirmations that you get from, like, I call them masters. And she told me, she came up to me, she said, you did a better job than I ever did. That blew my mind because I thought she, you know, at 15, I did it years later. But
right, exactly.
15, I was blown away by her to see all that, the dancing and, you know, the way they did it. And
exactly.
I loved her.
I want you to be...
I was enamored
Gotcha.
by it.
Gotcha.
And then when I was about 14, I think it was, or 13, I wanted to go to performing arts high school.
Right.
Right, so I must have been 14. And so my mother had enrolled me in this summer program at Brooklyn College with this brother named Maurice Watson. Mm-hmm. And we were too young, me and my girlfriend, we went. We were too young to really be main characters, but he would include us in like the background kinda,
exactly,
you know, and
exactly.
they did a lot of black kind of ritual theater and stuff. So I went to Maurice, Mr. Watson, and I said, I want to audition for Performing Arts High School. So he said, well, what piece do you want to do? Our Town, that was the piece.
Okay.
Our Town.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and I forget the character's name, but I did one of the women.
But what was it about your portrayal of that piece? Do you think, like the people who were judging it, what did you think they saw in you? And what did you see in yourself that gave you the confidence that you could do the piece?
I don't know. I think once he trained, you know, helped me with it, then I felt, even though I might have been nervous, I felt confident because I knew where I was going. I knew what I wanted, you know. I think also my look, you know.
Yeah.
Because even though I was a jeans girl from Brooklyn, when I went to the school, my mother made me wear this cute little brown thing,
right,
you know, skirt
right.
and thing like that. And, you know, being light-skinned and cute.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
they like that.
Right,
you know,
right.
And that I picked Our Town, which I don't know if many black actresses would have picked that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But I got in trouble there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very militant. Like after I'd been there a couple of days and I saw all them kids wearing jeans, and because they were wearing ripped off jeans back then that they wearing now, and I had a big afro, so I tried to hide my mother made me wear some kind of Shirley Temple curl or something, so that probably all that helped me present the kind of image that they would like. But once I got into school, I let my natural come back out. I thought I was a mini Angela Davis. And I remember, again, I'm aging myself, but I remember when they had, the white kids were marching for Kent State.
Right.
And then when those kids got killed at Jackson, the black kids, nobody did anything.
Yeah.
So I got my girls together from the theater and the dance department. We had a sit-in.
Yeah.
So they were pissed at me. And then I used to stand up for people in the class because, you know, that's old school. That was that old school. And that wasn't visually what she liked.
Absolutely.
And I lost my temper one day. And I said, well, my teacher, Mr. Watson, who helped me get into school, told me that you can get on stage naked and make people forget if you're a good enough actress. I said, but she looks like a real person. Why everybody's supposed to look,
exactly,
you know.
Exactly.
And I remember I did a scene from the Children's Hour.
Right.
And I wore culottes and clogs. And the lady got pissed at me. But she kept telling me when I was back then, oh, you remind me of Raquel Welch. I said, oh, that's a nice compliment. You know, but I had a mind of my own.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a mind. So they called my mother. They called my mother and told her that they was going to put me out of school. And my mother took me to my uncle's bar over on Ralph Avenue, and she put a pack of cools and got me a Bacardi and rum, and said, "You grown?" She said, "You sit here and smoke the pack and drink." She was so angry.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up in Morocco. She didn't want me to go to Bushwick High School with my friends and my cousins.
Yeah.
She thought I was a wild child. I was going to get pregnant or something.
Yeah.
So that's when she sent me to Morocco.
And in Morocco, did you pursue any of your acting pursuits at all?
No, in Morocco, I helped my dad in the club, the African Rhythms Club.
Right.
So he would, and then he would have me do some of his letters, which was good for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he would take me to the club early in the day when he ordered stuff. And,
Exactly.
And then sometimes I played the hostess and DJ sometimes.
Right.
But then, you know, my brother said I could fall asleep anywhere. So come around 11 o'clock, I go in the back of the club. It was like 3 steps up before you went in the office.
Right.
And get on one of those couches and go to sleep. And then they'd wake me up, and him or my dad would walk me, because the club wasn't that far from our house. Walk
Exactly.
me home.
But Kim, I don't want you to get too far ahead
No.
of me. I want you to stay.
In the acting.
I want you to stay as the actor, as the teenage actor developing into the person that felt really comfortable finally on stage. I kind of want you to walk me through that process and the steps.
As an
in that
actor, really, you should never really feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You should never really feel comfortable on stage. You should do your homework and then let it go and just be the character. You know, and trust that you did enough work, that you are the character. And if somebody makes a mistake or you make a mistake, you have to respond in the character. You can't go like, oh, I dropped that line, or
Right.
you know. So
Right.
so as an actor, as a teen actor, basically,
Right.
I didn't do a lot as a teen.
Yeah.
Once I got in performing arts, we mostly did scenes.
Right.
And then when Francis and the other teacher I told you about, Israel, we did full plays, like in our senior year and whatnot.
Right, right.
We did the Song of the Lusitanian Bogey, and we did 3 Women. Francis Foster directed, not 3 Women. We did it as 3 Women, but it's a famous play by the poet, the famous poet, black female poet. Famous.
Nikki Giovanni.
Nikki Giovanni wrote this play. I Am Woman or Woman.
Right.
I forget the name of it. But the way Francis did it, we had 3 different actresses play it.
Right.
And so Francis was really wonderful to work with. And then we did the Song of the Lusitanian Bogey with Israel. And that was deep. It's a South African piece.
Right.
So that was good. And then I'm trying to figure what other full-length pieces. We did a lot of scene work, a lot of, you know, that kind of stuff. And then I graduated. And when I graduated, I went to work as a theater artist for Miss Jeanette, who became one of my mentors. And then after Miss Jeanette, I went to Roger Furman. And I always say, Miss Jeanette taught me how to walk a stage, and Roger taught me how to make an entrance.
Incredible.
And
Kim, on that note,
yeah,
I want to stop you right there.
Okay.
So we can go into part 2. You've told me some fascinating stories.
Oh, okay.
And I can't wait until we get to part 2. So, Kim, thank you very much for your time. You just opened up so wonderfully for me. And so we're gonna go to part 2.
Okay.